And you know the sun's sitting fast, just like they say, nothing good ever lasts. Go on now and kiss it goodbye, but hold on to your love because your heart's bound to die. Go on now and say goodbye to our town, to our town. Can't you see the sun sitting down on our town, on our town? Good night. Now I sit on the porch, watch lightning bugs fly. I can't see too good, I got tears in my eyes. I'm leaving tomorrow, but I don't want to go. I love you, my town, you'll always live in my soul. And you know the sun's sitting fast, and just like they say, nothing good ever lasts. Go on now and kiss it goodbye, but hold on to your love because your heart's bound to die. Go on now and say goodbye to our town, to our town. Can't you see the sun sitting down on our town, on our town? Good night.
Good evening and welcome to this week in review. Tonight's stories include Second Annual Books for Babies Party, Mr. Vivian's Art Class Project, Identity Theft Kit for Businesses. These stories plus the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack and more coming up after this.
6 months ago, she didn't know what kidney disease was. Today, it affects every aspect of her life. Hours of dialysis don't leave much time for bedtime stories. She misses weekend camping trips. She misses family pizza night. And her daughter misses them too. Through research and patient services, the Kidney Foundation is helping to create a better life for patients and their families.
The Public Library hosted their second annual Books for Babies Party on Monday of this week. 27 children were invited to the Public Library for the second annual Books for Babies Party on Saturday, February the 26th, but due to the nasty weather, it had to be cancelled. The party went ahead on Monday of this week. 17 of the 27 children invited attended. To begin, Library Board Chairperson Doreen Benoit welcomed everyone and gave them some background information on Books for Babies. Before the activities began, the children were divided into groups. One group went to the Family Resource Center where Cheryl Miles and Lacey Ingram read them a story. Another group worked on a coloring sheet. There were also games for the children to take part in. The fish game pond was one. Here, the children had to catch a fish and do the activity that was written on the back.
Okay. Okay, Sarah. Kyle. No, that was jumping. Load the bench. Now let's Sarah, got one newborn. Yeah, listen. You got a boy named a fishing pond. Here you go, boy named
Are you like a stay in the pond?
9. Wow.
Stay in the pond now. You're a fish, you stay in the pond.
Can you find something green? Can you find me something green? I'm green. I'm hurt. Can you find me something green? No? Pumpkin? No, it's Tabby's turn now.
One of the library volunteers was making party hats for these little ones. Some of these children were very young, as you can see. Rose Vatcher, the former kindergarten teacher, read a story to these children. Some children were ready to help out.
Like to roar. Can you roar like a tiger? George, can you roar like a tiger? Roar! I can't sleep here, said the ladybug. It's too noisy. So when the crocodile swam by, what do you think the ladybug is going to do? The ladybug hopped on his tail. But the crocodile liked to swish. Can make a crocodile tail. Swish, 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 swish. That's what he likes to do. He liked to swish his tail in the water. Oh, I can't sleep here, said the ladybug. I'll fall into the river. So, who's coming next? When the monkey swam by.
There were also games like Put the Letter on the Book, Bee on the Beehive, and Worm on the Apple. The children closest to the hex on the back of the book, beehive, and apple won a prize. There was also a door prize to be won. Of course, what would a party be without a lunch? There were lots of goodies to eat. Each child that attended the Book for Babies party went home with at least one small prize. The children seemed to enjoy all the activities. Mr. Wayne Vivian's Art 2200 class has completed another interesting project. Do you remember a few years ago when the school asked for donations of egg cartons? Well, here is what the students did with them. Who would have thought that a egg carton could be made into something else? Each student in the Art 2200 class made 3 items using egg cartons. Here we see 2 of the projects. One is a flat surface decorated as the students wanted. The other is the student's name, nickname, or initials. The process for these projects are very simple. First, the egg cartons are torn up. Then they are put into a blender with water and blended until it is mulched. It is strained through a regular hand strainer. Next, it is mixed with wood glue and a little water. This helps the egg carton to get hard. Then the students roll out the egg cartons for their flat surface project and molded their initial freehand. These projects are left for 2 weeks to dry. Once they are dried, they are painted with tempera paint. The finishing touch was to coat this project with a clear water-based urethane. Students also did these baskets using a butter tub as a mold. Some students molded theirs into a hat, and they all decorated them with paint. The students are now working on wooden nameplates using 1x6 pine. If you would like to have the recipe for this egg carton project, just visit Burgeo Academy website at www.k12.nf.ca/BA and then go to the St. John Central I archives. There you will find all you need to do this egg carton project.
You do your stories, didn't you?
Oh, you didn't.
That's what you're right here. It's all in there. Come on, Jesus.
What are you supposed to be doing now?
Markers.
Yeah, what class are you supposed to be in?
Ready?
Writing?
I guess we'll start again.
I'll go.
There's at least duck for camera, Mason.
Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
They say if you want a wish to come true, never tell anyone. But there is one wish that can make the difference between life and death. And this wish can only come true if you tell someone. Please, let your family know you want to be an organ donor.
On Monday, February the 28th, Government Services Minister Diane Whelan launched the Identity Theft Kit for businesses. The launching of this kit was part of Fraud Awareness Month, which, by the way, is in February. Along with information for a kit on businesses was information for consumers on reducing the risk of identity theft. There are 9 headings. The first is, what is identity theft? Why should you be concerned about identity theft? The third heading, what are some signs your identity might have been stolen? Some of these signs are, bills and statements don't arrive when they're supposed to. They may have been stolen from the mailbox or someone has changed the mailing address. You receive a call from collection agencies or creditors for an account you don't have or that it is up to date. Someone may have opened a new account in your name and added changes to the account without your knowledge or permission. Another heading tells us 3 key ways to reduce your risk. Yet another tells you how to guard your personal information and documents. The tips also talk about keeping your computer and its contents safe and keeping your key documents secure. All these tips offer great advice to protecting your personal information. These tips are an important tool to encourage people to become better educated about how to recognize a scam. Minister Whelan stated in her news release that we are all potential victims and the onus is on each of us to ensure we know that we are being targeted and report it. For a complete copy of these tips, visit the government website at www.gov.nl/gs/ID-theft. Now over to Mayor Ann with the council report.
Good evening. Burgeo Town Council, we held our regular monthly meeting, the first one for the month of March, on Wednesday, March the 2nd. We had 6 members in attendance. Deputy Mayor Reid was out of town, could not attend. Items covered during the meeting. We began our meeting with, we met with Ms. Gwen Durnford. Ms. Durnford is a research worker which was hired by the BDDB, and what Mrs. Durnford has been doing or is in the process of doing is cataloging what is in the area, that's Francois to Grand Brett, with regards to RICS and anything else of interest, heritage or historical or so on. And she came to give council a little update on what she's been doing, and it's my understanding, I believe, that she said she's visited just about all of the places now except Grand Brett, and she hopes to go to Grand Brett next week. But in addition to this research which she is doing, which is really in conjunction with our hopes that this area will be declared a National Marine Conservation Area. In addition to that, she's got a brochure prepared for the tourism. It's really the brochure which has been used in past years, and there's some changes, of course, to be made in it, and it's got to be proofread. There's some spelling errors, apparently. So the town manager is looking at that, and we'll look it over and see if there's some additions we'd like to have in there. Of course, the short and long of it was they were looking for funding for the brochure, and council gave its approval that it would fund the brochure for the tourism brochure for Burgeo this year. So that just about took up half an hour of our meeting, and council wishes Ms. Durnford the best in her endeavors to put the package together. Our meeting then, we went into a privilege meeting to deal with the things regarding the water treatment plant and so on and so forth, and I'd just like to remind you that we have been told by our lawyer to handle that in that manner, in privileged meeting, give out no information, and so that's what we've got to do. That's what we're paying the man to do, so we certainly got to listen to what he tells us to do. It's moving. It's a slow process, and it could take a long time. But, you know, we're there, and there's nothing more we can do, so all I can say to you is that rest assured that one of these days this will all come together. It could be a different council before it even all gets together, but I have every confidence that someday that this will all come together, and will come together for the better of the people here in Burgeo. I do know that we're getting along good with municipal affairs. Municipal affairs is cooperating, just excellent cooperation from the Department of Municipal Affairs, and I still think that some of the reason for this is that the town of Burgeo has a good reputation with municipal affairs. Our house have been kept in order. We have spent prudently. We have watched our bucks, and we haven't dug ourselves into the hole and the mess that a lot of towns in Newfoundland is going through at the present time. And I have every confidence that that's going to continue, and that we will come off the better in the end. This AUR resources, which you've heard me talking about, will Deputy Mayor Reid had a chance. He was over to Millertown or over in that area somewhere, Buckins, and conducted some business a short while ago, and during which time he made a plug for Burgeo as being the shipping port and so on. Now, it doesn't look good. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, I probably wouldn't give it much more than a 2. And one thing we ran into right away is that they'd like to have at least 45 feet of water all the way through. That's even at low tide. And apparently in Burgeo, when you go to the harbors, 27 feet is what we got. But, you know, that's not really an insurmountable thing. If the company was really interested, probably could get the federal government to come on side and do some dredging and so on. There's harbors that have been made that are not as good as the Burgeo location. So what it doesn't look good, you know, the other thing is that St. George's, I believe it is, there on the west coast, has been used before. It's got the loading facilities and so on, and that seems to be the thing that they're hanging towards. The big thing, of course, that we got going for us there is the ice-free port. But nevertheless, we have got our whatever Burgeo's got. It's been done up. It's been put before them, and they still have an interest in meeting with the manager or with the council, and we're still interested. So, you know, it's not over until it's over. During the previous meeting, there was some requests from the cemetery committee with regards to trying to get the parking improved at our cemetery. Now, the council doesn't have any responsibility for this cemetery. I want to make that quite clear to the townspeople, that the only responsibility that the town committed itself to some years ago was to clear the snow. That's about it. But at the same time, you know, whatever council can do, if it doesn't cost us any money, we most likely would take part in. But anyway, apparently there's the area of the parking. If there was some large boulders removed, that you could double the parking or something like that at the area. So the manager, I've spoken to Johnson's. That's the company that's doing the job up there for the Coast Guard. And they are very cooperative, and when they get their work sort of tied up, they're going to have a look at it. And, you know, if there's not that much involved, then it is quite possible that before they leave Burgeo, they will go up and do some work, and they won't be charging. So, you know, that'll be good if it can come about. Out at the government wharf, a long time since we spoke about that out there, but I'm sure for any of you who drive out around there, you know, you still see that big massive hole in the rock and nothing has happened and so on. Well, there's still some money left there from that project, And if it's not taken care of by the end of March, then of course the money has got to go back. So what we're doing now is we're having the town manager go and look at the area, and we feel that if nothing else, rather than send the money back, we'd like to see a retaining wall put there, so that, for one thing, to take away the risk of someone going off over there and getting hurt. And we don't know just what we can do with the amount of money there, but we're looking at it with an outlook to spending the money and ending up with at least something that'll do the town some good. With regards to the kiosk up at the intersection of the Burgeo Road and the Trans-Canada, Stephenville Crossing has agreed to partnership with our town council, and all of the details are not worked out. However, it comes to the point that Burgeo will apply for a summer student or two or whatever, and it's just impossible to staff that facility from Burgeo. The town of Stephenville Crossing will carry out the interviews and do the R-ing and do the supervision of the student, and they think and we think that we'll give it a try for the first year anyway. We'll give it one more try and see if this is a worthwhile venture or not. And so something is going to happen there now anyway. It's better than destroying it, and that would be it. The RID board has been working on a thing. It's called Business Retention and Expansion. And what they're saying is, it seems like everybody is going out to get more businesses to come into your town, and we think that's a good thing, but sometimes that don't work. So what they're putting a lot of their effort in at this time, and it's happened in eastern Newfoundland apparently, is to try retain the businesses that is already in town. Maybe there's some business which is starting to grow and finding it a bit hard to stay in. Plus maybe there's some expansion required. So what it is they're setting this up, the Ridge Board is, and there'll be representatives from every town within the zone. What they do, they come into an area and they look at certain business. I don't know if you've got to apply. The details I'm certainly not up on. However, they catalog and write down just about everything there is with regard to a business. And then there's an outfit in the United States. The problem or the business is the program more or less is put there, and they run it through and they come back with suggestions and so on of how this business could probably be turned around so that it becomes prosperous, and maybe rather than going under, then you could retain a business and expand a business that's already here within our town. But I haven't said that. Like I said, I'm not going to say much more because I'm not all that familiar with it. Burgeo didn't have anyone on there. I checked around trying to get someone to volunteer to take this on, and I wasn't successful. However, Councillor Grant seems like he's got a bit of time on his hands, and John sort of goes for this kind of thing. So John said he would certainly take part. So with that being said, John is going to represent Burgeo, and so I guess I've got to go in there next Wednesday, I believe it is, to meet with this fellow from I don't know who, from the United States. And maybe after that we'll have a better understanding of what's happening, and well, it's just one more thing. Another thing we dealt with, I don't suppose many of you take notice to it, but our 920 loader, that's the one you see with the backhoe on it. The cab on that is in pretty ridiculous condition. In fact, it's falling apart. The window's starting to fall out and so on. You can't even keep the frost off. It got to the point where, the loader was questionable whether it was safe to be used or not. Mr. Meade has been trying from time to time to patch it and weld it, but it's got down to the point that there was nothing to attach anything to. made a check, I guess him and the town manager, and they turned up one down in the States somewhere. Now, a cab for this piece of equipment would cost in the area of $20,000. This vehicle is a 1978. It's in excellent working condition according to what they tell us. And these loaders are one of the best, they say, that came out. But anyway, you know, sometimes luck gets on your side. Anyway, they turned up one, and like I say, a new one would cost $20,000, but they managed to find one, and it's supposedly in pretty good condition, and they got it for $3,000. So we're pretty pleased about that you know, we can get this thing come and install it on our loader and maybe extend the life of that loader for a number of years. Another thing the council gave approval for was new radios for our vehicles, our two loaders and the truck and the base station, the town office. You know, it might not seem like a big need for it, but really and truly, we do need some contact with our employees when they're out on the road nighttime, one thing or the other, and someone wants to contact them, snowstorms and so on and so forth. So council gave their approval for that. And the other thing, which clued up our meeting, seems as if just about every councillor there had some complaints with regards to which they had seen for themselves and which they had been reported to them with regards to the throwing of snow off in the road, digging your driveway and throwing it out in the road. And that's one. The other one is when you throw the stuff, you know, to the right of your driveway and you stick it out like that. Well, when the plow comes along, she takes it and carries it into your neighbor's driveway. You know, this snow in your driveway, there's nothing can be done about it. Every town in Canada is having to put up with the same thing. But it seemed as if the majority of this was happening on the road done by the Department of Highways. This seems to be the run where all the complaints came from and all the incidents of the snow being dumped out in the road came from. So the town manager, he was onto it even before we had the meeting, and he had spoken to the Department of Highways and they were aware of it, and so there will be something coming out on that, a joint release by the town and the Department of Highways with regards to this dumping the snow out in the road. It's just not permitted. Of course, the town has regulations on the roads that we plow, and I think the Department of Highways has got some for their road as well. So I just, you know, bring that up to you that, yes, I know you don't like it, no one likes it, but we got to try to live within the system, and we got to try to think about our neighbors, and we also got to think about the road. You know, the plow's got to come through and push the snow out, and if you're just going to go out and throw it right on back in the middle of the road, well, you know, sometimes it could come to the point that it could be you that needs an ambulance or a fire truck or something else, and you know, you could have those vehicles stuck in a snowstorm just because you dump your snow out in the middle of the road. So it's not a good practice, and while we all got our complaints, you know, there's not a big lot we can do about it, and everybody's got to pull together and try to do our best. And that's it from council for this week. See you later on. Good night.
Stay with us for Off the Rack and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
It can begin with the simplest of gestures. A gift of time, energy, commitment. Something precious that grows stronger with every hand that touches it, and grows across communities and through the very fabric of our nation, and begins, once again, with the simplest of gestures. To Canada's 6.5 million volunteers, thanks.
Off the Rack. This week, as we scanned our tape rack, we came across a tape of Funny Hat Day during Education Week at former A.J. Matthews Elementary School. Let's look back to March 1994.
There's some moons. Anything else? Oh, Jupiter. Jupiter. Now that, what does Jupiter have? Anybody remember?
A lot of moons.
A lot of moons. And what does it have on the planet? A big red what? We can't leave off our planet, can we?
Moon in my hand.
A rat?
Moon in my hand.
Oh, okay. You might want to fill in this.
Nothing
Just a second now. Ready?
inside. Abracadabra, abracadabra.
Oh,
Pretty neat.
Hello.
Hello.
Wait.
Hey, Sarah.
What beautiful pants. What funny head you have.
Let's see yours. Let us see yours.
It's fine. I'm a cowgirl today.
Hey, Miss
Howdy, partner. Thank you. And happy birthday to you tomorrow.
Hello. Bye-bye.
Dear?
Oh,
Go right ahead. Oh, you lost your wiener, buddy.
Talking me, Phil.
All right. I got you.
Okay, Andy, find a seat. You're just going to sit really quietly for a few minutes and let this person spray on our heads. Tyson, you ready? And Glenn?
Yeah, I'm just putting my Tyson's watch.
Okay.
There's two things. Then should have put on this other one.
All right, let's sit down and work.
BBS Playbill. Try your luck on Wednesday by playing ELP Committee Grade Class TV Bingo. On Thursday, we will have a rebroadcast of The Bandwagon from December 1990. Join Pansy and the gang for 2 stories, a craft, and lots of fun on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on Pansy's Garden. Tune in to the Church Channel 43 next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. We will have religious revelations from the United Church. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. Please stay tuned now for The Bandwagon from December 1990. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night and God bless.